Samar, a team member at the Legal Amity. In today's episode of the Insider Info series, I had the pleasure of interviewing Robert Hanna, founder of Kisson, Carr. So, let's get into the video.
Where did your interest in recruiting in the legal profession come from?
Really good question. So my grandfather actually ran a very successful law firm in the 1950s called Rich and Carr Solicitors. And before my recruitment journeys, I've been doing recruitment for over 12 years now. I started in the oil and gas sector. I moved into procurement and supply chain. And in 2016, I felt ready to set up my own recruitment business, and I wanted to somehow find a connection and way back to the legal sector to keep the Carr family name in business. So it really sparked from my grandfather, because when I was age 15, 16, I was in his law firm, shadowing, sort of doing all the really glamorous jobs from photocopying, stapling, getting teas, coffees, all the really important jobs that needed doing. But that really sparked my passion for wanting to move into the legal sector and set up a recruitment business in that.
That diversity and social mobility is really important to you. So why is it so important, do you think?
The simple answer is because I think it's far behind. I think it's very far behind a lot of other sectors. But so myself, I'm actually half Iraqi, so a lot of people don't know that. But actually, I am. So unfortunately, I don't speak Arabic, which is a shame. But I'm very passionate about diversity and inclusion. And so a lot of people who know about Kisson Carr, we do a lot of work in that space. So we partner with so many meaningful societies and organisations, in particular the Society of Asian Lawyers. Just last night, I was on a fascinating webinar held and chaired by the president of the Society of Asian Lawyers, talking about the race to the top. And there was a range of barristers, silks, lawyers, law firm owners, talking about their own experiences. And there was some really harrowing stories about some of the experiences they've had in their careers. So whatever we can do in terms of partnering and helping raise that voice, we will do. The other thing, we run a fantastic initiative called the Legal Update, which is a subscription-based newsletter forum, but we've had some real topics around diversity and inclusion come onto that. And there's also a fantastic initiative being run by a set of lawyers at the moment called the Magic Box, which is hopefully, it's a fantastic piece of legal tech that is going to disrupt the legal sector, that is going to improve work allocation within law firms to sort of remove any sort of bias. So any sort of initiatives, societies that we can do to help raise the profile and make a positive impact for positive change and more of an inclusive sector, then I'm all for it. And absolutely, and there are some fantastic role models. I can't name them all, but just off the top of my head, there's we had a fascinating story of Oren Begum, who's a Magic Circle associate, sort of trained and retained and done fantastically well. And she was talking about her own journey, coming from a council house and that environment, and really kind of working her way up. And she also does poetry on the side, and she inspires so many people, and she's so passionate about wanting to give back. And there's also, the next generation of lawyers. There's a chap called Phil Steventon that's doing some great things with the neurodivergent lawyer and trying to really promote all of these initiatives. So again, for me, I'm keen to get behind and give people a platform and a voice to try and, as we all are, to try and raise that awareness and make a positive change.
What have you found are the key characteristics or skills that have really made specific candidates stand out during the recruitment process?
I think there's a few things that would stand out to me, is in terms of their general knowledge and the research that they've undertaken. So whenever you're making an application or you're trying to stand out, you really need to know what you're going for. So you actually have to do a lot of steps beforehand in terms of research and understanding the particular practice area it might be, or the particular role requirements. So really getting that box ticked. You've got to do your due diligence. You've got to show that you've got research, and then it's just showing the good, I guess, O-shaped skills that we're looking for in terms of the future lawyer, in terms of their sort of openness, their good commercial awareness, their kind of ability to showcase that they do have good technical skills, or an ability, if they're at the aspiring lawyer level, to be, you know, good at drafting, let's say, for an example. And the other thing they're good at is really selling things that they're passionate about, or they know about, or where they can add value to a law firm. So we talked about diversity and inclusion. That's a great, you know, I know some fantastic trainees that are running their own. So there's Sana Shafi is a great example, who runs Strive, one of many, and she's at Travers Smith, and she's doing a fantastic thing in promoting diversity and inclusion and getting her law firm on board. So that's a great, you know, way of someone following their passion, but also bringing value to their own firm and the legal community. There's other things like legal tech, showcasing their skills for that. So there's a whole range of things, but I think showing an interest and a genuine interest through the research and be able to articulate that and selling the individual skills related to that particular role or opportunity is fundamentally
if there were 5 top tips you could give you know, aspiring legal professionals currently entering the sector?
Good question. I think the first thing I would say is make sure that you are going for the right opportunity for you. And what I mean by that is lots of people say they want to work for a Magic Circle law firm. Lots of people say they want to work for a US law firm or a Silver Circle law firm. But I always say, that's great, that's the headline, but take a step back. So my first tip is why? What is important to you? Because let's just say, for argument's sake, you want to be a sports lawyer. You know, it's understanding that actually maybe a Magic Circle firm isn't necessarily the best home for you to be. You know, you may want to consider a firm, say, like Bird & Bird, who have a fabulous sports practice. So the first tip is really understand what is important to you and what's going to make you tick, so you're applying to the firms, because the one thing you need to do is be passionate. Okay, so the first thing is understand why. Don't follow the crowds in terms of, oh, I must something for this. And what I also say, and something else I'm very passionate about, it doesn't always have to be London. Okay, there are some fantastic law firms outside of London doing really great things. So there's a good friend of mine, Jodie Hill, who's a fantastic representation for all sort of, you know, law firms outside of London, who's running Thrive Law, who have a fantastic employment boutique. There's Alice Stevenson, who's making a huge presence on LinkedIn with Stevenson Law, and there's this great other array and new wave of law firms coming through that you should definitely check out.
Yeah.
So that's kind of one of the things that I would say. I think another thing that I would say in terms of top tips is, please do not copy and paste. Whatever you do, it may sound very, very obvious, but if you cut corners, that will come out. Do not work on quantity, work on quality. So I definitely say you've got to kind of tailor it individually. The other thing is really work on how you can communicate and sell yourself. So where you need to align the competencies that are required, they need to match your strengths. Okay, so you see and analyze what your strengths are. So let's just say time management, that's a strength of yours. You need to be able to articulate how that's a strength of yours and how that's a benefit to that particular law firm. So you may say, you know, time management, you, as well as studying your legal degree full time, you're involved in 3 other societies, and that involved time planning, and as a result of that I was able to do X, Y and Z. So you're showing that you actually have the core competencies and some substance behind it in form of a strength. The other thing, there is not the perfect candidate out there. Okay, and law firms do not expect the perfect candidate. So do not try and mask over maybe an area of weakness or areas you need development on. Actually highlight them as strengths, in the sense of these are in areas that you've been working on, and that actually shows that you're solutions based, you've got problem solving skills, that you can actually overcome things. Because when you first start in a law firm, you're not going to know, if you're a corporate trainee, how to draft an SPA. You're not going to know necessarily the intricacies that are required, but you're going to have to find out how, and you're going to have to network, you're going to have to problem solve, you're going to have to research. So again, don't try and be the perfect candidate. Represent the best version of you in the best positive light of you, is probably what I would say. And the 5th thing I would say, I don't know if I have done 5, I'm a bit marbled these, but hopefully you can digest, is do not give up. The level of people that get disheartened, discouraged, and just want to give up, I would say to you, please, if you've started, do not stop until you've achieved what you want to achieve. I think it is so important to say that. The legal sector is competitive. It will only get even more competitive, but there will be a firm there for you. If you stop, the only thing that is certain is that's the end of the journey. If you keep going, it's time. So even if it takes you longer than your peers, do not, again, top tip, remove that. It's your journey, it's your race, it will happen at your speed. But just don't give up.
Massive thank you for obviously participating in our Insider Info series. We really, really appreciate you taking the time out to give us some wonderful tips and tricks for our viewers to take forward with them as they enter this new application cycle, which many of us are very, very stressed about. So I'm sure all this wonderful knowledge that you passed on will definitely be a vital survival point for a number of us. So really, thank you so much.